Hey friends, this is the Mrs. Wolfie from our half-acre homestead. Now y'all have seen me make crock pot soup before, but there's a lot of new folks in our YouTube family who wants to see how I make something with pantry stock. So today we're having chicken vegetable noodle soup. This is a jar of chicken broth with bits of chicken in the bottom. Now you see why I don't fill it all the way up. This is from 2020. Here's a jar of vegetable broth, 2020. Here's a jar of celery that I put up. Here is a quarter cup of my dehydrated carrots, a quarter cup of dehydrated beans, and a half a cup of dehydrated potato pieces, and about a cup of my onions. This is the basis of our soup. This is one of the easiest things to make, and since it's a rainy day, first we're going to put in our vegetable broth, and now I'm going to turn it on high. Do not turn it on high and then put in a cold can of broth. You'll crack your crock. And now we're going to put in our chicken broth with those little bits of chicken in the bottom there. Now the reason, normally I wouldn't use 2 jars with broth, but the truth is, dehydrated vegetables take up a lot of juice. So we're just going to drop them in there. Drop our onions in there. There it is. A little bit of salt. I don't salt my broth very heavily. A little bit of pepper. And a little bit of garlic powder. My 3 main seasonings. And we're just going to pop our lid on there. Cover it up. And let that cook till supper time. And just before supper, we'll make noodles. Okay. Now before I show you my chicken soup, we're going to make our noodles for it. And a lot of folks have seen me make noodles. I'm going to use, half a cup of flour. Maybe 3/4 of a cup. These are special noodles. I should have used a bigger bowl. I'm gonna have to make a t-shirt saying that. Some salt. We're gonna take some of our Italian seasoning. Why? Just because it's tasty. Right? And this is our dehydrated tomato powder. Some of it ain't even crushed. So I'm going to put in 2 heaping little spoons, baby food spoons. So I'm going to say maybe a heaping teaspoon. Mix this all up in the flour. Well, let's just do a little bit more of that tomato powder in there. I'd really like some zest. Now we're going to take our egg. I'm going to crack it into drop some of my herbs here. And I'm going to add, I don't know, half a cup of water. I'm going to start mixing this all together. I might need more flour. You might have to have more noodles, Howard. All right, he says. Because I made more noodles than I actually need. But we're going to put some flour down here on our mat. I'm going to scrape all this into that flour. And if we need more flour, we will add more flour. I'm not sure we're going to need more flour. Maybe. Now, by rights, for this amount of noodles, I probably should have used 2 eggs instead of 1 egg and water, but it's not like it's got to sit in the soup very long. It's going to get eaten, I promise you. Yeah, let's do this in sections. I might even put some of this in the freezer for another day. unless Howard says, give me all the noodles. And I don't hear him saying, give me all the noodles, so we'll see. It's still a little sticky, so that's why we're keeping lots of flour down. We're just going to roll these out. And the more floppy it is, the faster it will dissolve or break down in the soup, so you want your dough nice and stiff. Now this dough's looking pretty pink, isn't it, with that tomato powder and the garden fresh herbs. Well, not garden fresh, but dried herbs from my garden. Pizza cutter works great. Unless you want thin, fancy noodles, I don't bother taking the cutter out for just one meal. If I'm going to do noodles and I'm going to cut them up, they're going to be, if I'm going to do a lot of noodles, or if I'm going to take my equipment out to do, you know, I'm going to do enough noodles that I can store some. This is just some. It doesn't matter if there's little flakes of it. It doesn't matter. It's all going to cook in the soup. These only take 10 minutes or so in a pot of bubbling soup to cook. And look at that. Rich, bubbling soup. Celery. See how my carrots have my potatoes have rehydrated, my bits of carrot. Yum. And now we're just going to start dropping these noodles in here. They're a little on the soft side, so I'm going to drop them in individually and then put the lid back on real quick. We're going to give them a stir. Oh, look at that. And we'll be back in 10 minutes when those noodles are cooked. All right, oh, look at those nice puffed up plump noodles. Now that takes soup to the next level, doesn't it? Let's dish up Papa some. He's gonna say I should have cooked more noodles. All right, put on some pepper for Papa. Tuck him in a couple of slices of homemade bread, butter, and we'll see what he's got to say about that. Excuse me, young lady. This is chicken noodle soup with Italian tomato and herb noodles. Something just a little bit different.
A little bit of flavor to the noodles.
There you go. You looking forward to soup season, dear?
Potato cheese soup.
And cheese broccoli soup. This is the Miss Wolfie from our half-acre homestead saying, if you can prep your pantry properly, nutritious, delicious meals are always at your fingertips. Take care, God bless.